Ever wonder what makes real estate agents laugh the most? Well, today we're answering the top funniest real estate questions ever been asked. Get ready for some laughs, some surprising answers, and maybe a few lessons along the way. Hi, I'm Amy Clark with Crylike Realtors, your go-to realtor for living in Memphis and the Mid-South. Welcome back. Real estate can be a serious business, but it can also come with its fair share of humor. Whether you're buying or selling or just curious about these questions, we'll show you the lighter side of real estate. Make sure to watch to the end to catch the most unexpected video question. And don't forget to like and subscribe and ring that bell for notifications so you'll never miss a video. First question, can I take the front door with me when I sell my house? Well, no. Believe it or not, someone asked this question, and it's odd what homeowners think that they can take when they're selling their house. Rule of thumb, if it is attached to the house, it stays with the house. Other things can be negotiated. So like a refrigerator, for instance, you can negotiate whether you're going to keep the refrigerator or you're going to let the buyer have it. You know, the shed usually stays. We need to clarify that in the contract. But the front door, no. If you don't want the buyer to see it, take it before the pictures are taken. Take it before any buyer comes into your house. You don't want to be in a squabble with great grandmother's crystal chandelier that she left to you that's $5,000. Take it down, replace it with another light fixture, and there you have it. You don't have to worry about negotiating with the buyer on your personal heirlooms. Window treatments, the curtains and blinds, they're gonna stay, and the front door will stay. If you need that front door, replace it before any buyer walks through the house. So make sure that if you want it, it's somewhere else off the property. But no, usually the front doors does stay on the house when you leave it. Question number 2, do ghosts lower the property value? Well, in Tennessee and Mississippi, that's not a thing that we discuss down here. Sellers do not have to disclose whether someone has died in the house or whether there are ghosts in the house. Now, a few years ago, there was a funny situation. We are in Mississippi and we have antebellum homes here in Mississippi. And a realtor friend of ours took us all on a tour of her haunted house. We went in the house and people were taking pictures. Things were happening, and what was in the picture on the phone was not what was in the room at the time. So there were some funny things that happened on that haunted house ghost tour. Some people might be thrilled with the roommate as a ghost, while others would run for the hills. I myself would run for the hills. I don't want it. And there's no official term for haunted house on an appraisal status. So a home's haunted house reputation does not need to be disclosed. But like say your mom or your dad passed away in the house, that is not something that needs to be disclosed to anybody. So can I negotiate the price based on my horoscope? Well, I guess if it makes you feel comfortable to tell you what to offer or whatever. I had someone tell me that Mercury was in retrograde and they wanted to delay an offer to avoid bad vibes. Look, you want to be comfortable when you put a house, when you go into an offer, you want to make sure, but market's really not going to know whether Saturn is in the right spot. But just for your own peace of mind, if you need to use your horoscope to make your offer, more power to you. Just don't expect the seller to lower the price because Saturn said so. Is there a discount if I only use half the house? That's very funny. No, there's not a discount. Houses aren't 50% off if you're only going to use half the house. You could use the other half to have someone rent it out. That'd be fine. But the price of the property covers the entire property, not just the main parts or the pieces you want to live in. So make sure you're buying the bedrooms and the bathrooms that you need. If you have a bigger house, you don't need it. Maybe you need to downsize or look at something else, but you're still going to pay the full price for the house. So these questions are pretty funny so far, but let me know in the comments which ones made you laugh. And if you're enjoying this video, hit a thumbs up and share it with a friend for a good chuckle. Question number 5, can I buy the house with Monopoly money? Well, clearly that was a joke, but it did make me think about explaining cash versus financing. Unless your Monopoly game is worth millions, you'll need some financial lending. And if you're planning on actually paying cash, make sure you have proof of funds. So proof of funds is a letter from the bank or a bank statement or whatever with everything blacked out except for the price. don't be surprised if someone calls the bank to verify that this proof of funds is correct. That's fine. You just want to make sure that you're not giving a seller a false statement that you have money when you actually don't have money. People can be sued a lot for that kind of thing. It's called proof of funds. It needs to be verified on paper to avoid any questions from your lender or the IRS. So no monopoly money, but yes cash and yes lending, financing. If the house comes with a cat, do I have to keep it? So it sounds a little funny. Sometimes they're stray animals or sometimes a pet was left behind. So what we do is we find out whose cat it is, where it belongs, and no, you don't have to keep the cat that comes with the house. However, you can call your local animal shelters, or we can find out who owns the cat. Any of these things are possible. I did have to write an offer one time to ask the seller to please remove the donkey from the property because the buyer didn't plan on caring for the donkey. So that was one I've done. And I have had a cat. What I just did was ask the seller to remove the cat before the buyer came in. And so the cat's placed elsewhere, either with a family member or maybe in a shelter. But that's just how it works. One time I got a dog. So I got Eli. Where's my picture of Eli? Oop. Eli, he was a big boy, good, Great Dane. He was a good dog. He was 8 years old. My seller said to me, I just don't know what I'm going to do with him when we move to our new house. I said, what do you mean what are you going to do with him when you move to your new house? Well, he's 8 years old and I don't want him in my new house. I'm like, oh, okay. So Eli came with me. So I had an 8-year-old Great Dane and he lived with me for 2 years. He was a fantastic dog. He didn't like my dog so much. He was scared of my Belgian Malinois. However, she didn't make it easy for him. She liked being an only dog. Eli lived for 2 years and we were happy to have him every single step of the way. Right, Eli, Michael? We can remove animals. We can take care of the animal problem. Can I build a moat around my house? Well, let's talk to the city. You wouldn't believe how creative people can get with their home ownership dreams. While technically possible in some areas, you could build a moat. It would require extensive permits and possibly raise some eyebrows if you have an HOA. If you're set on recreating a medieval castle, be prepared for some hurdles. The city is going to be in charge, and if the city's not in charge, your HOA will be in charge. So maybe if you had 10 or 12 or 30 acres, get a few little permits, you could build a lake, house right in the center of it, start from scratch, do it like that. Maybe that'll work for you. Do I have to disclose the family of raccoons that currently live in my attic? Well, absolutely. You have to tell the buyer that there is a family of raccoons living in the attic, and you probably will have to get a wildlife expert to come in and take care of the raccoon family and relocate them, and then clean up your house on the outside. So any areas of access you have into the roof in or around your house, we want to close up those things, because if a raccoon family can get in there, then mice and birds and other things, little small possums, even all kinds of things down here in Mississippi that could get into your attic. My mom had a very horrible problem with roof rats, and in Germantown there's lots and lots of old trees, and these rats just live in the trees and they jump from house to house to house to tree to tree to tree, and they get into an attic. That's a terrible problem in Germantown, and it's just one of those things. You need to make sure that your house is completely sealed. You want one family, and that one family is yours with your pets that you take with you, not wildlife pets living in your attic. I'm going to buy a condo and I want to put a second story on my condo. Absolutely not. PUD, planned unit development. So that is a building that is technically not yours. I mean, you own it and you can buy and sell it. But as far as any renovations, it would have to go through the HOA. It would have to go through a building commission, planning commission. That's just not going to be something that you could multi-level add a penthouse onto your standalone home to make your reality. Before you buy a house, I really want you to make sure you do your due diligence. If this is something that's very serious to you and you want anything that touches your heart, we need to find out what are the hoops that we have to jump through to make this dream a reality for you. So anything is possible. It's just that you have to get the correct permits. The one thing that's really sad is when a seller has added on to their house and they didn't get the correct permit. Well, now a buyer's coming to look at it and they really do want that enclosed room that you've enclosed, made it such a beautiful little sunroom, and you didn't get the right permits. The city may have you tear it down. The bank may have you tear it down before the house is sold. Or if you bought the house and it wasn't permitted and you wanted to add on to it, you may have to tear it down, get all the new permits, and start over. It could really be a costly mistake. But as far as adding a second story to your condo, not a good idea. They won't let you do it. If the house is sold as is, that means I'm keeping the jukebox in the basement. Not a chance. It depends on how the home was listed. If they said the jukebox comes with the house, that's fine and that's good. And yes, you can have the jukebox in the basement. But generally, as is refers to the condition of the home, and it's not consistent with stuff like your personal property. Usually when I write an offer, I ask for everything of the seller's personal and private property to be removed before closing, unless we have asked for a specific thing to remain in the house. I asked for the chicken coop one time and the seller took it and we were like, it's in the contract, we need the chicken coop. Well, the seller had already dismantled it and taken it and it was gone and he was already in another state. So luckily he was able to come back, build the chicken coop for the buyer, and she got a new one. But it takes a few extra time when people make those kinds of mistakes. Follow your contracts, make sure you read them. But if you fall in love with a jukebox, it doesn't hurt to ask. I mean, you can ask somebody if it can stay. Just be prepared for the seller to say, no way. And you can ask for anything to stay. You can ask refrigerators and vanities and furniture. Sometimes you can get the whole house included with all the furnishings and everything. Sometimes you can get them at a deep discount. Maybe you need the tractor in the yard and you're looking at buying 10 acres of land and he's going to take his tractor. Well, that's an expense you would have to have. But if you asked for it to be sold to you outside of the contract, then y'all can work out a bill of sale, a negotiation period. So you just do it separately. But talk to your lender to make sure it's not going to mess up your financing. When you are making big purchases, you've got to be careful and always talk to your lender when you're buying anything. Thanks so much for joining me today. We went through 10 quirky questions on this special edition of Living in Memphis in the Mid-South. Real estate isn't just about facts and figures. It's a full of sense of humor. We laugh all the time. And if you have any quirky questions about real estate, please drop a comment. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe and like button so you never miss more fun, helpful insight tips. I'm Amy Clark with Crye Lake Realtors. I'm here to make your real estate journey as enjoyable as possible. Until next time, keep smiling and happy house hunting.